One of my favorite, one of the most decisive, one of the most beautiful, emotional games I've ever seen as a coach. In orange, it's Barcelona. They deserve it because of Cruyff. And in white, it's us, a chasing machine, I would say. And yeah, we're going to speak about not the away game, but we're going to speak about the home game. Alisson Becker, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Joao Matip, Virgil van Dijk, Robertson, second half Millie, Fabinho. The amount of counter attacks he stopped that game, incredible. Henderson, James Milner after Gini, Sadio Mane, Divock Origi, Shaqiri. I think it's important to understand the context because we went to Camp Nou. We played there, I think, really well, but it explains that this is not a game where we changed strategically from one game to another. We don't do these things. We have one plan, and the plan is that we don't want to be the best team in the world, but we want to be able to beat the best teams in the world with our way. And it was not that important who would play this game, but it was much more important how we would play this game because we were missing Mo Salah, we were missing Bobby Firmino, what is an incredible story how he tried to come back in the Camp Nou game. And with this, Divock Origi played, our legend, unbelievable, and Shaqiri played, who was incredible on the ball with the assist to Jean, but he was without the ball, I will explain that later, really, really important, both of them. If you think that this was a strategical fit, or it's not, because otherwise you don't lose a game 3-0 and then you win it 4. This was our way. We don't change. Our idea is to chase the opposition all over the pitch. I think 80% of the teams in modern football, they press. But pressing and chasing, for me, is something completely different, and we chase. Our idea of pressing is not to force them one way. Our idea of pressing is not to force bad passes. Our pressing is the idea to steal the ball to attack, to create. And in this game, that was massive because we knew Barca is not a pressing team. But when you can take away their possession, their pausa, their temporization, especially around Busquets, especially around Piqué, and especially around Ter Stegen at that time, it's crucial. So, for an example, so say Hendo puts pressure on Busquets. The idea when we put pressure is not to force them back and to hold the position and protect behind. No, when we go, it's all about the last 2 meters of the press. So when we go there to steal the ball, okay? So that's a big difference between a lot of teams. So what I try to say is that the context was 3-0 behind away at Barca, incredible goals of their side. We played with Gini as a striker. So anyway, Gini came back in the locker room after. He said to Bobby, I don't know how you do this. Each game you do this. So that says how important Bobby is for our team and how important he is for our club. But anyway, and how important he is to our style. But when we came back in the dressing room, when Gini speaks, I got a text message from Vitor Matos. He's now our assistant coach. At that time, he was not. And he texted me, he said, Pep, if there's one team in the world of football who is able to turn this around, it's you guys. So I let Jürgen read it, and we grab a few players. And there, only there I learned is that the 5 minutes after the game are more important than the 5 days leading up to a game. After a game, when these things happen and how you played, we have to be straight on. It's possible, guys. If we play our way, it's still possible. Last year against Roma, they won 4-1 and they lost 3-0 going out of the quarterfinals of the Champions League. That mindset, that attitude, that passion, that character, that mentality of never give up, that's us because of the history of the club, because of the characteristics of this team. With the tactics board, the only thing which you can really show is our cat, our Brazilian cat, Allison, how he defended here and here. He still has the talent to surprise me with incredible saves. It's the truth that people say, like, you can only become a champion or you can only become Champions League winners with an incredible goalie, and we have them. So he was in this corner and that corner saving. But what I want to say with the tactics board is that you cannot show emotion. I just walked down and I say to Hendo, I watched the game back, and I told him, like, you, so our right midfielder, you were everywhere and always in the right space and always in the right moments. And I remember one moment, 85th minute, he had to defend. We were defending deep, of course. He was making a sprint probably of 30, 40 meters to put the pass forward away from Langley. And he told me, that's what I want to say, he told me, Pep, if this game was 120 minutes, I will still be running like that. And he said, why? Because, and that's what I mean with the tactics board, it's beautiful to explain a lot of things, but you cannot explain emotion, and you cannot explain what's around, because there were probably 60,000 Liverpool fans giving us so much energy, giving us so much passion, that we felt from the first second that it was possible that we could change it. You never know, because they have Messi, and you see Messi on television, and you think, like, he's good, but when he comes here in front of the dugout and he starts proper dribbling, properly outplaying, the speed is just incredible. So yes, he is not a pressing monster at that time, but what he did with the ball was incredible. So big credit to Virgil, because of, if Messi, Suarez or Coutinho, if they face you towards your goal, you have a problem. So our whole idea was cutting the pathways and don't let them face you. And Fabinho was incredible with that. And Jürgen always says that the best players in the world, why do you allow him more space? Because of the respect. And that's the worst thing you can do. So the amount of times we could chase him from behind and come from front and create 2v1 situations. What's really important is that Barca in La Liga will dominate the game on our half. So they try to dominate you here. They try to win the ball back and dominate again. They are not used to be pinned back. So that was a big part of our idea. The trick was to take basically 40% of the game away by this chasing attitude. I think it's important, if you speak about Barca, you have to speak about their key players. So for us, it was really important to control Busquets. The first reason is, if he has time to think, if he has time to turn inside our organization, if he has time to settle in the last line to create three in the back, he starts dictating the tempo. And when he starts dictating tempo, that's attacking the game instead of attacking the goal. So they get control of the game. So our first job was that he can never think or turn inside our organization. And this is what I meant with Hendo. Hendo was all over the pitch, but always in the right moments and always in the right spaces. For example, when Busquets would receive the ball here, he was there. When Shaqiri would press Langley here on the outside to cut the pitch to try to steal the ball, but they would find Alba, but Trent would not come, he was there. When Divock was defending, example here, the 6-6 with Rakitic, and the ball would have been played from Busquets back to the goalie, Hendo was here. He was everywhere, and he was the trendsetter for the whole game. If you speak about compactness, about front foot defending, I think he was a great example in this game, and always ready to defend, to fill up the not perfect organization, basically. So Busquets, key player, he understands how to temporize the game, how to pause the game, and have this calmness. If he can do that, that creates space for Coutinho to come in the pockets, or however you want to call it. That gives time for Suarez, but especially for Messi to come on the ball. So this pathway was really important, with a compact front three and with Hendo really active. The other thing is, of course, Piqué. He has the same characteristics, the DNA, the idea of making it calm, the stepping in then. So that was, of course, task for Divock. But if they cannot do it with Busquets, normally, they will use Piqué. If they cannot do Piqué, they do it with Ter Stegen. And this is what I mean with attacking the game. Divock played that night, and it was not Bobby. And one of the things we said to Divock was, every time the ball goes back to Ter Stegen, you put him under massive pressure. So massive pressure means speed, how you go, and second, that you really want to stop the ball there. So, and I think in the game, Divock did outstandingly. Everybody speaks about the goals, but his defending from the whole front three, Sadio played for 3 players that night, in my opinion. He was incredible. So all 3 were constantly finding the trigger and to go. So Divock to Ter Stegen, this idea was good. We knew that when he starts playing long balls, it's a small victory for us. We knew that he would play long balls, that Phil Coutinho, Suarez and Messi. Maybe Vidal, yes, because he's a proper second, he's natural Vidal. He's like always in the right space, but like this, he is good with the second ball. But of course, we have an advantage there with Millie, with Fabinho and with Hendo. Our 3, the most energized midfield you can imagine, I think, in this case. So, we wanted to put them under pressure, what I just explained with Hendo, with Millie, because Vidal came more inside here as well with Coutinho. We wanted to cut the pitch. I want to explain the role I think was crucial in our pressing, in our midfield pressing, and that was Fabinho. I will explain why. For example, the ball went from here to Lenglet. He would drop with his left foot. Shaqiri would always try to cut the outside to cut the pass line to Jordi Alba. So a proper trigger to go, tack, put pressure here. And in these moments, Alba frees out, and they have the quality to play here from the inside to the outside, for example. And everybody who says that this distance is too far away, not for Trent. If you have a big heart, if you really want to, if you want to get there, you will get there. But now I will explain why Fabinho was so important. When Coutinho would drop here, and Trent would go, even our second goal came from a counter-press situation with Trent winning the ball here, leaving Coutinho counter-press and win the ball. When Coutinho was high, what I said, the most important to take the front 3 players out is that they don't have time to turn and face you. So Joel would follow. This would open Suarez. Normally we would say Virgil comes across, Robert comes across. But because we were so front-footed like this as well, with Virgil coming into midfield when Messi would drop. So Fabinho was crucial that he would drop then in the line and he would control Suarez. So it became almost like he would go and Joel would end up so many times here in the challenge. Joel and Virg, in my opinion, so if you go back to the line of 4, Joel and Virg were constantly, when they could influence this pass of Messi, they were there to win. Our 3rd goal came from, and this is our idea, we defend to create chances. So he came here, wins the ball, he played the first pass forward, we combined on that side, we came to this side, and in the end, Shaqiri makes the cross for Jean to score. That was the 3-0. When Shaqiri went, and Trent was ready to jump, Joel would come across, and Fabinho was really good in controlling this space, or when Coutinho was really deep, we would control it like that. If you talk about our defending, you have to understand how we... so we have an offensive pressing zone. So how we press when the goal kick, all these things, offensive pressing. We have our pressing zone. That's this zone, what I'm speaking about. And we have our defensive pressing zone. We have different principles for each zone, but the idea is always the same. We want to win the ball. So anyway. So if you would divide our team, you would divide it in 2 blocks. The first block is the front 3. And the second block is the block of 7. Then you have Ali, of course, not forget, but these 7. These 7 is always the job to close the center and be ready to jump, to be front-footed. The front 3 are responsible, how Jürgen always says, to defend 5 or even 6 players. And this is possible. What I just showed with Shaqiri, he can defend Alba, what happened many times, so that he didn't find him, but when they found him, Trent went. But that he can defend and Lenglet and Alba at the same time. Front 3, responsible for 5 or even 6, that means 1, because he's responsible for 2. He's responsible for 1, 2, 3, and 4 even, like, so this idea, and he's responsible for 1, 2, 3. So 3 responsible for these 5, maybe 6 even. So with this mentality we press, with this mentality we chase. And if you see us, it's not ABC coaching. We want to be unpredictable. So a lot is about the closest is to be ready to go. We follow with help of the block of 7. When you divide offensive pressing zone, our pressing zone, and the defensive pressing zone, our pressing zone is clear, compactness, all these things. But a lot of times in training, we would train in this zone, in our pressing zone, and there's a game 11v11 or 10v10 in that zone, where there has to be constant pressure applied. And that's possible because of the space. So, and when they want to go through this, it's impossible. We play with this idea. And each team has to make a certain amount of passes to break that line. But that night, it felt like the whole pitch was our pressing zone, because all our goals came from winning the ball. Front-footed mentality, stealing the ball, playing the first pass forward, and attacking from there. With the first goal with Joel Matip, after corner, playing this long ball to Sadio, Jordi Alba heads it and we win it, and we score from there with Hendo Divock situation. That was with the counter-press situation here with Trent, tack, when he won the ball. That was with Virgil coming here. So the whole team was proper front-footed, and the stadium was our pressing zone. So how I said before, I really think it's important to understand that it's not from a coach's point of view. It's much more about the team, the qualities of the players, what Hendo did, what Millie did, what Divock did, what Shaqiri did, what Joel and Virg did, what Trent did, and it's much more about the process of training 4 years in the same way, with the first day being the same idea that we want to chase the opposition over the whole pitch. We want to improve the way we attack, but we want to play the last pass from everywhere, be able to play the last pass. And this idea of football from Jürgen, from the club, from all of us, only then, when the emotions are getting so high, when you play finals where 60,000 are screaming, where millions of people are watching, where the ref is making decisions, where you cannot influence them, they grab on the things you train each day. And I think defensively, I think you saw the small tweaks we did with controlling Busquets better, with controlling Ter Stegen better. But all over, there's never a perfect pressing organization. It's always about how they read the game, how to apply our principles, and how much life they put into the moment they... The worst thing in football is doubt. The worst thing, if you press a team, doubt. Go, no, and you lose time. So this connection, this timing, these relationships, this is what we work on each day. And this doubt, that's what we wanted to create against them. So we know that Barca was not a high-pressing team. With Suarez and with Messi, they were not these are not the kind of players who chase here, who chase there, who chase here, then drop here, then chase there, chase there. So we knew it's just not a good idea against Virgil to not put him under pressure, because Virgil with time can play, and what I said with the first goal which Joel did, these passes, and he puts it here. So he had time. It's not a good idea when Joel has time, because he will come in. So what they did, not pressing, and with Fabio moving behind them to free himself, to create a free play here behind their strikers, was really well. But what I said, we wanted to create doubt. And how did we want to create doubt? One, Divock being always high, asking the ball in behind, because we knew they have this man-marking approach. When he moved them behind, they will follow. So that means that their last line would drop. That would create already more space. But we wanted to create more doubt behind Busquets and Rakitic. Doubt that he could not press Fabinho, for example. So against these two strikers, we don't need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players to build up. So example, we had Sadio inside, we had Shaqiri inside. This would already overload the center halves here. So create doubt with the movements then, because if he would go, he could come free. So, and especially using Shaq power as well. But it's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against 2. It doesn't make sense. So we wanted to overload the line even more. So say, for example, we pushed Robbo and we pushed Trent here. So this means already that we overloaded the line like that. But against 2, we want to build up with 3. So what happened a lot of times, especially around the side of Lionel, and people have to understand me right, I never saw something like that in lifetime. So, and I think we dealt with it really well, because you cannot avoid everything. But when he was in counter-attack, the way our midfielders chased him from behind and how we came from that decision, or even Fabinho, and you see these challenges, you see what happened in these challenges in the game. But that's also part of the game, of course. But how we dealt with him, and of course, because they defend in a certain way, they have full energy to counter-attack. So stopping counter-attacks was great. What I'm trying to explain is that that we wanted one more player. For these 2, Vidal would play really inside, orientated to middle. So we wanted to create 3 with Millie coming here. That made space to break here. And even in the second half, they changed Vidal to this side. Coutinho came off and they put Nelson Semedo and they went with Sergi here. So they went with 2 fullbacks on the right side to try to control our triangle on that side better. Let's turn them around. So it's still here, Philippe, and here Vidal. So he would play both sides. So, and here is where we wanted to create out. Our best moments came when Hendo was even here as well. So you could say that this is a 4-4-2, but a 4-4-2 offensively. So that would be 4 here, 4 there, and 2 on the outside. Anyway, so the way we want to create out was not just with Millie here dropping. We want to create out with, example, Robbo here dropping with 3 and Millie being here on the outside, what happened a lot in the game. So already there was Vidal for questions, was here, anyway. So, but the most important thing is that we want to create out around Busquets and about Rakitic with the 3 players inside, with 4 would be even better. But Hendo, how I said, he was everywhere. So say Millie was here and Robbo was a little bit deeper sometimes. Hendo would be in this position to create 3. Hendo would be between the lines. Shaq would be on the outside and Trent would be deep. So the right side triangle and the left side triangle was constantly flexible and constantly active to create doubt for them, with the idea to attack because we needed to score. But we all know how better we push them back, the better it is. So take, for example, that Trent came in this position, Shaq here, Hendo, Millie created 3, Robbo here. What I like in the whole game is that when we broke their lines, we had this constant threat with loads of bodies in the box. So it's not a surprise that Gini, the goals he scored, the 2, when he comes from deep in the box, what amazing timing, because Gini, what I said, we want to create a flexible treat in build-up, so it was Gini or Millie who needed to do that. Also the advantage, if it's on this side, we could, when we lose the ball, we had, of course, immediately control of Messi when we lose the ball. When we break, example, on this side, and they went with 4, these 4 in the box, and we would make these runs, they would really man mark in the box. We had our second player, was close, because that's the advantage if you have players here between the lines. But what I like, what I said already before, so Gini would make it here. What I like is that these surprise runs from Hendo in the first goal, these surprise runs of Gini, the 2 goals, of course, it was decisive. And all credit to Gini, all credit to Hendo. So this drive to and have him build up the extra player and being in the box for Hendo, and to put pressure and to chase Messi from behind and being in the box. We sometimes say it's a box-to-box midfielder. For us, it's a post-to-post midfielder or a box-to-box fullback. But what I like, and this is what I want to say, is that every time when Trent was here, it was Robbo who was in the box as well. So we had one fullback to cross, the other fullback was inside. What's really important against a team who's really good in counter attack, because with Coutinho, who can pass these balls, with Suarez, who just is like, he can go and he just sees here the goal and he will finish somewhere there. This absolute heart and willpower to go. We needed to control the counter attacks as well in the right way. So how do you control counter attacks? By counter pressing, and this is where Jürgen is every game really strong. Every training session we do anyways really strong. But counter pressing without pushing up doesn't make sense. So we wanted to really push our players to the edge, because a counter attack has to start from somewhere. We had Firmino, then they would drop here, Suarez and Messi, and here our center halves would not wait, but they would come even in like into the opposition half to control. And what I said, when they would receive to face, that happens. You cannot avoid everything. That's why we have Ali as well. And real speed on these two positions, even speed on the fullback positions as well. So you can play with that line and you can play with this. But tell me a fullback on both sides who defend here, attack there, defend here, attack there, come inside to play as well, etc. So that's what I liked a lot. That I like when fullback shoot. I like when fullback cross and the other one's in the box. I like when I like when 1-8 has the ball and the other 8 can come in the box. That's what we believe is only possible when you are really well protected and you really have this constant threat. And for me, football needs this complete freedom, this unpredictability, where the best talents can show their way of attack, their way to shoot, to finish, to cross, So, and that of course was one of the ideas, no? When the ball is free here, we cross. They are not used to that. When we can shoot, we shoot. When we can follow to the goalie, we follow. But always with the idea to be 100% protected. Can you be always protected? Of course not, but we tried. And how I said, this was not only bringing us to the final, but also I think a lesson for everybody in the world's football, that even when players are missing, or when you keep hold of an idea for a long, long time, and you give, there's no doubt in the way you want to play, and that only happens with time, same manager, same ideas, same trainings. How I started the presentation, the tactics board is not enough. You should put Anfield around, because I had the feeling that the emotion of the fans, the belief, the moment the game started, it just went in one direction. And of course, many managers will say that they felt games like that and they lost it. So that could have happened, of course, because they have some genius. But I think a lot of the small victories and their plan we took away, and with the mentality of our boys. And that's why that season, and still, but Jürgen calls them mentality monsters. And I'm really proud of this team. I'm really happy that I can work with them day in, day out. And they are legends, not just because they won the Champions League that year, but they are legends because they train each day how they train. And if you can see each day as a game, each day as a final, or with time, these games can happen.